Hello and welcome to the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion on Nyxus Gaming. We are here for another little Nyxus guide, and today we're going to be going over all the Daedric artifacts in the game. Now, for simplicity's sake, I am defining Daedric artifacts as anything created by a Daedric prince or heavily influenced by one. The main ones are going to be the ones gathered in the quest, but after we get through the Daedric quests, I'm going to be going over a few other ones. But to start off here, we are at the Shrine to Azura that is located north of Cheydinhal here. You're going to want to be at least level 2 to access this quest. I know, very high prerequisite. You need to visit it. Yes, somewhere between the time of 5 and 7 a.m. or 5 and 7 p.m. And, of course, you need to bring an offering, and for Azura, that is going to be a piece of glow dust. You can get these easily by killing any will-o-wisps that you find around the area. So let's go ahead and see what she has for us.
I have seen your name, traveler, and heard it whispered in twilight. I ask a service which holds promise of fame and reward. Many years ago, 5 followers slew the vampire Daedric and its kin, but all were infected by the foul creature. Knowing their fate, they sealed themselves up in the vampire's lair. Their suffering weighs heavily on me. Travel to the gutted mine. The door will open to you. Bring the piece of death to my followers, and you shall earn my gratitude.
Alright, so Azura wants us to go to this mine and kill 5 of her followers that have been afflicted with vampirism. Basically, carry out some mercy killings. Now, I'm going to make this guide easy and simple. I'm just going to keep in the beginning and end parts of all these quests unless there's some kind of important choice or event that I have to go over in the middle of them. So in a few seconds, you will see me back here after I have killed those followers.
Thank you, mortal. Their spirits are free, and henceforth above my shrine, 5 bright candles shall burn forever in memory of their sacrifice. For your service, take this token, that your deeds might be entered in the Book of Fate.
And for completing her quest, she will reward you with Azura's Star. Now, Azura's Star is actually an extremely useful item if you're into enchanting. It is basically a soul gem that can hold any size soul, and it will not be consumed upon use. Unfortunately, I'm not really too big into enchanting in any Elder Scrolls game, so it's not for me, but trust me, if you are an enchanter, you want this item. We are now here at Boethia's Shrine, which can be found southeast of Cheydinhal, past the river here, and there's no specific time you gotta come to this shrine. You just gotta be level 20 at the very least, and you gotta bring Boethia a Daedra heart.
Why do you summon me? You are not one of my faithful. Do you hope to be counted among my chosen? Then prove yourself to me, mortal. I shall open a portal for you to one of my realms in Oblivion. Go and take your place in my tournament of 10 bloods. Survive, and you will be rewarded. Fail, and your soul belongs to me.
So Boethia's quest here is for you to go through this portal and participate in the portal of... go through the portal and participate in the tournament of 10 bloods, in which you, whatever race you chose at the beginning of the game, will fight 9 other people that take up the other 9 races that you did not choose in the game. So this can actually go a little bit differently based on what race you chose at the beginning of the game. But beyond that, it's just going in and killing 9 different people.
I greet you, Chosen One. A victory in my tournament of 10 bloods brings great honor. Take Goldbrand, sheathe it in your enemies, and offer their souls as praise to me.
And Boethia rewards you with the sword Goldbrand. Now Goldbrand, when we find it, it does 27 damage, which is actually the second highest amount of damage on any one-handed sword that you can find in the game. It is only surpassed by Umbra, but when you take into account the fire damage that Goldbrand does, I do think that it comes out on top. So it is quite the reward if you are into one-handed weapons. Now, if you're wondering what the stats of Umbra is like, you can actually get Umbra from Clavicus Vile's shrine here, located southwest of the Imperial City. Now, you have to be level 20 as well to do his quest. You don't have to come at any specific time, but you do have to bring 500 gold, and I would hope that by the time you're level 20, you would have at least 500 gold for him.
A mortal! Wonderful. Always a pleasure. Perhaps you'll do service for me, mortal, and I'll reward you. A fair bargain, don't you think? You will retrieve for me a sword, a very special sword. It contains the soul of Umbra, a hero I have had dealings with in the past. Bring the sword to me, and I'll reward you with my mask. You'll not find a better bargain, mortal. Begin your search in Hell's Gate.
And so we have to go and hunt down the Sword of Umbra that has been stolen by someone. I don't think it tells you in this part, but I'm just going to say it. The person we're getting the sword back is named Umbra. Umbra is special. Whoever wields the sword kind of takes them over, and they all become Umbra. So let's go get that sword back. When you return to the shrine, you may notice that part of it is missing. That's because during the whole quest, you're being talked to by Clavicus's dog, Barbas, who does not want you to bring the sword back to him. But let's see what Clavicus has to say about that.
You've brought the sword! Now give it to me. As we agreed, Umbra and I have unfinished business.
At this point, you can say no and keep the sword for yourself. Like I said, it is the best one-handed sword in the base game. And there's really no downside to this other than you don't get the other item. And the sword ceases to be a quest item. So if you really want the sword, it might be worth it to just not turn in the quest at all. The reason for this is when it's a quest item, it weighs literally nothing. When it's not a quest item, it's an extra 45 pounds in your inventory. But we're just going to tell him no and keep it for ourselves.
You would dare? We had a bargain, little hero. You would risk my wrath for a pitiful little sword? I will be watching you, mortal, and waiting.
And he can threaten you all he wants, but he's not going to do anything about it.
Oh well, been good knowing you, kid. Back to being his hound for me. As for you, good luck, I guess. I've met worse.
And we got ourselves a nice new sword. So remember, Goldbrand at 100 durability did 27 damage and 22 fire damage on a strike. Umbra does 30 base damage, and it works as a soul gem. Whenever you use it on an opponent, it will cast Soul Trap for 120 seconds on strike. I say it works as a soul gem. That's not exactly how it works. You use it in conjunction with a soul gem, because before you use a soul gem, you always have to use Soul Trap to actually trap the soul. But basically, Umbra works in great combination with Azura's Star here. So if, again, you're into enchanting, Umbra's the way to go. Or if you just want a lot of base damage for a one-handed sword, it's also the way to go. But let's see what else he has to offer.
Excellent! A pitiful sword with a pitiful soul in exchange for a mask fit for a god. You've gotten the better of this bargain, mortal. Now, I have business to attend to. Run along. Perhaps I'll be looking for you again.
Oh well, been good knowing you, kid. Back to being his hound for me. As for you, good luck, I guess. I've met worse.
And Barbarous is indifferent whether you give him the sword or not. But instead of the sword, we now get the Masque of Clavicus Vial, which I believe is the same as an ebony helmet, defense-wise and everything. Don't quote me on that, though. You can see there it has 7 armor to it. And it will fortify your personality by 20 points whenever you're wearing it. Which, honestly, I would much rather have the sword. It's also worth noting that if you do go for the sword and not the mask, the sword is not counted as a Daedric artifact in the game. It is a Daedric artifact, but the game only counts the main rewards from the Daedric quests as Daedric artifacts. So if you find your stat down here for artifacts found, we actually have Azura's Star, Goldbrand, and the Masque of Clavicus Vial on us right now. And we have Umbra, but it does not count. So if you get Umbra instead of the mask, you will never max out your stat for artifacts found. Just something to keep in mind if you want that true 100% completion. Next up, we arrive here at the Shrine to Hircine, which is just south of the Imperial City. And again, no designated time for this one. I think Azura's the only one that has a designated time, unless I state otherwise later in the video. You gotta bring him a bear pelt, and you have to be at least level 17.
Summoned my prey. The hare crouches before the fox's muzzle. Perhaps I shall task you, mortal, set you to hunt for my amusement. In Arcane Grove is a quarry worthy the chase. First named, last tamed. The unicorn runs wild there. Bring me this creature's horn, mortal, if you dare.
And so Hircine wants you to bring him the horn of a unicorn, the only known unicorn in the entire game. Now the downsides to this, you can actually ride the unicorn and make it your horse, and it is extremely unique and cool, but it's also very temperamental and has a tendency to attack you if you pull out a weapon near it. So it's really not worth it as a mount. You might as well kill it for this quest. In fact, when I did my video on horses that you could get in this game, I went over the unicorn, and afterwards, I immediately killed it, and I even have the horn in my inventory already. So let's give it to good old Hircine here.
Yes, Hunter, make your offering. Did you taste its flesh and drink its blood? Never waste the spoils of a kill. You've pleased me, Hunter. Take my token and wear it well. Hereafter, take your prey and whisper my name.
And so Hircine rewards you with the Saviour's Hide, which I believe is a light armor. Gives you 12 defense and resist magic 25% on self. And I mean, I guess it looks decent. I'm just not a huge fan of light armor. I would rather be fully armored up. And I got kind of a weird look going on here. But if you're into light armor, it's probably not that bad. Malekith's shrine can be found north of Anvil here. All you have to be is level 10, and you gotta bring him a Troll's Fat.
You brought a present? Good. That's smart. You want something? Then if you're smart, you do what I tell you. Lord Drad took my ogres. Says he owns them. Lying maggot! They're my ogres! Lord Drad put my little brothers in chains, working in the mines. I don't like that. Get over to Lord Drad's estate. Let my ogres loose and get them out. Okay, get going.
And he just wants you to free his little brothers from slavery. What a nice guy. A little angry, but nice.
Good job. No one owns ogres but me! And I fixed that maggot. The ogres own Drad. Make Drad eat death. Now you get a present. Keep up the good work, and be nice to my little brothers.
And for freeing the ogres from slavery, Malekith gives you Volendrung, a two-handed, heavy warhammer. Let's see, it counts as a blunt weapon. It paralyzes the target for 3 seconds on strike, and it will drain their health by 5 points for 20 seconds on strike. Does 21 base damage, which honestly seems kind of weak for a two-handed weapon to me, considering we just got two one-handed weapons that do a lot more than that. But I guess when you take into account the effects that it has, the paralyzing it gives, you can just lay into a guy with this and he probably won't be getting up. So I would like to believe it's a pretty good two-handed weapon and worth the quest. For Mephala, you can find her shrine here, just northeast of the Imperial City. You're going to have to be level 15, and all she's going to want is a piece of Nightshade. Now, similar to Azura, you have a specific time you got to activate her shrine, and that's going to be between midnight and dawn. So I'm thinking between 12 and 6 in the morning. Plenty of time to do so.
Call me web spinner. Pluck but a single thread, and the weave unravels. In Blinker's way, two families, Nord and Dunmer, live in perfect harmony, but beneath the surface lurks the secret seed of strife. Kill the leaders of the two families, plant evidence to implicate the other family as the killer. And don't get caught, be cunning, don't spoil my schemes, and don't die. That would spoil everything.
And so all she wants you to do is go to this little village nearby, kill two family leaders, and plant evidence that the other family did it, basically inciting a war in the entire village. Sounds fine to me, let's go.
Well done, little web spinner. Is there a prettier sight than friends at war? Take pleasure in the strife you have caused, mortal.
And Mephala gives us the classic Ebony Blade. Now, the Ebony Blade does 24 base damage, and it also silences for 10 seconds and absorbs 8 health points whenever you strike your opponent. So this is good for any mage that you might be fighting so they can't cast their spells, but also good as a little vampire sword just to suck the life force out of them if you really want it. Meridia's shrine is located just west of Skingrad. You gotta be level 10 to activate her quest. And all you will need is a piece of ectoplasm, a piece of bone meal, or a piece of mort flesh.
By the detritus of the profane I am brought forth, and by your offering you have made the profane your interest mortal. The undead are foul, unnatural things, Some of my rivals take pleasure in these abominations. Not Meridia. I wish these creatures destroyed. Hidden behind a door, deep in Howling Cave, are necromancers. They rob graves for the materials to raise their undead armies. Find these necromancers, destroy them and their abominations. Do this, and earn the gratitude of Meridia.
And all she wants you to do is go kill some necromancers. No beacon required.
Well done. Those creatures were an affront to all life, and they have paid the price for their actions. Take this ring and go with my blessing.
You are rewarded the Ring of Khajiiti, which I think originally appeared in Morrowind, if I'm not mistaken. It does not make an appearance in Skyrim, so we have no idea where it is at that time. It's just a simple ring here, but it gives you Chameleon 35% on self and fortifies your speed by 10%, or by 10 points as well. Now, maybe that's why it's not in Skyrim, because the Chameleon effect isn't in Skyrim. Basically makes you a little less visible, so that enemies won't see you and you're a lot harder to see while sneaking. Either way, it's a pretty good ring to have around. Molag Bal's shrine can be found in between Coral, Skingrad, and the Imperial City in this little Imperial Reserve area. You gotta be level 17 to start his quest, but all he's gonna ask you for is a lion's pelt.
Another mortal come to do my bidding. I only wish suffering and death. You will bring me both. I want to see a man brought to the edge and pushed. Near Brindle Helm, you will find Melus Patilius, a good man, an honorable man. He disgusts me. You will let him kill you with this, the cursed mace. As you are doing this for me, I'll save your miserable life. Probably. Get out of my sight.
So yeah, he wants you to take this mace and goad a guy, a really good guy, honestly. This guy doesn't have any violence in him, and he wants you to convince this guy to kill you by any means necessary. Just ruining the good in people. Molag Bal is genuinely the worst Daedric prince in the series.
Well, it seems you've accomplished the task set out for you. Well done. Another man damned, another ruined soul. But you'll still get your prize, won't you? I think it was worth it, don't you? Keep up the good work, little mortal.
And for damning this soul form, he will give you the Mace of Molag Bal, which is a blunt weapon that's actually pretty good. Does 27 base damage and also absorbs 5 strength and 5 magicka on strike. This is probably better than Volendrung, honestly. And it's also one-handed. If you're going on a blunt build, this is definitely a good choice if you're willing to work with this guy. Namira's shrine can be found just east of Bruma here. She is unique in that she is one of the few Daedric princes that you don't have to bring an offering to, although you do have to have your personality at 20 or less. So there are a few potions and different spells and equipment that you can get throughout the game to do that if you've boosted it too high. And the only other thing you got to be worrying about is you got to be at least level 5, which is super easy.
You dare approach my shrine, child of the light? You who walks this plain basking in the light of the warm, cruel sun? Prove to me that you deserve my favor. In anger, my forgotten have lived in peace for many years. They worship me from the dark, basking in their misery and filth. Now, though, some would seek to bring light to their darkness. Priests of Archay have intruded upon their squalor. I want you to help my Forgotten kill these priests of the light. Cast this spell upon the priests. Allow my beloved Forgotten to kill the interlopers. When this is done, I shall reward you for your efforts.
And she asks you to go to the ruins of Anga and help her Forgotten followers kill the priests of Archay that threaten her. And she gives you a nice spell to do it too.
You have cleansed my followers' perfect darkness. The Forgotten are free to wallow in their misery. Take my ring. Let it bring pain to others who would wish it upon you. Namira blesses you.
And your reward for doing so is the Ring of Namira, which reflects damage by 12% and spell damage by 10% when you wear it. So that's actually not bad at all for a tank build right there. The Shrine to Nocturnal can be found here northeast of Leyawiin. And she is yet another Daedric prince that does not require any offering to her. You just have to be level 10 when you approach the shrine, and nothing else.
Night among strangers. Secrets in the dark. Nocturnal is here. But my eye is blind and drowned, stolen from its shrine and hid in dark waters. To steal from a god is most unwise. In Leyawiin, 2 Argonians think themselves secret, but the eye has seen them. Find these thieves in the city that spans the waters. Learn where they hide my eye. Retrieve the eye of Nocturnal mortal, and return it to me, and I shall look favorably upon you.
And you learn from her that her eye has been stolen by thieves, and all she asks of you is to retrieve it for her.
My eye is returned, and I once again see into the darkness that is your world. We mock the thieves, for bitter is their loss. You, mortal, may take this. It shall open the secrets of dark places for you.
And your reward is probably the best and most amazing Daedric artifact you could ever have. She gives you the Skeleton Key. And there's a reason in Skyrim she takes it back. The devs don't want you to hold on to this thing forever because it is that amazing. The Skeleton Key is a lockpick that never breaks. Never. Not once. So no more need for lockpicks, right? It's just amazing, trust me. Harriet's Shrine is located on the southern end of the Silverfish River here. No other real landmarks. I guess it's kind of east of Breville across the lake, but still pretty far away. You don't need an offering for this guy. You just have to be level 10. And this one's a little different because before you even interact with the shrine, he will interact with you by giving you the quest.
This one moves. A welcome change. So, mortal, you have found my shrine, and you have seen my followers. They are an embarrassment to me. The fools cast a spell in the hopes of summoning me to them. It was prideful and foolish, and it has had its consequences. My followers are trapped between worlds. Their bodies here on this plane, their souls in Oblivion. I would have you reunite the bodies and the souls. I will transport you to the plane of Oblivion in which they are trapped. Find their souls. When all are collected, I will return you here. Return to me when you are prepared.
Yeah, so it turns out that his followers are a bunch of idiots, and that's why they're frozen in place, and he just wants you to fix their fuck up. It's always me fixing everything.
You have returned my followers, mortal. The natural order is restored, and for this, I thank you. Perhaps they have learned the folly of attempting to touch a Daedra prince. Take this with my blessing. May it bring you order.
And after helping his followers, he gives you a unique Daedric shield known as the Spellbreaker. Now, the Spellbreaker is a heavy armor shield. It has 17 defense, and it reflects 30% of spell damage back at the enemy. It's actually a really good shield to have on you, whether you use magic or not. Sanguine's Shrine is going to be located northwest of Skingrad here. You gotta be level 8 to start his quest, and all he's gonna want is a mug of Cyrodiilic brandy.
Another mortal. Come to beg Sanguine to add a bit of spice to an otherwise drab existence. I would have you perform a service for me. The Castle Leowyn is a dull, dreary place. The mistress is an especially somber soul, and tomorrow she will hold another excruciating dinner party. I want you to liven it up. Use this spell on the Countess and her guests. I think it will make the party much more interesting. You should probably try to be inconspicuous, or they might kill you. Oh, and the party is by invitation only. You'll have to find a way in. Have fun.
And as the Daedric Prince of Debauchery commands, we're gonna go attend a party and play a little prank on the Countess of Leowyn.
A rousing success, mortal. And it appears you joined in the festivities as well. Good for you. You need to lighten up a bit. You'll find your equipment in that chest over there. And here's a little something for your efforts. Maybe we'll celebrate again sometime.
Not only does he return all your gear that disappeared when you cast the spell, it should be located in this chest, you also get a hold of his Sanguine Rose, which is a staff that casts Sanguine Rose on the target. Now, if you're wondering what that does, I totally didn't just look it up. It will summon a random Daedra of any type to attack the target, whoever you shot the staff at. Now, be wary that the Daedra will last for 20 seconds, but if they defeat the target in that 20 seconds, they may turn on you. Just be a little careful using it. It's time for everyone's favorite Daedra prince, Sheogorath. His shrine can be found just north of Leowyn and south of Bravil here along the road, and you only got to be level 2 to do his quest, but you need a lesser soul gem, a piece of lettuce, and a piece of yarn to make as an offering.
Another mortal dares to summon me, and already I'm bored. But enough about me. let's talk about you. I could turn you into a goat, or a puddle, or a bad idea. I could make you eat your own fingers, or fall in love with a cloud. Perhaps I could make you into something useful. Let's find out. There's a little settlement called Borderwatch. It's a nice, peaceful place. And dull. You're going to make their lives interesting. They're a superstitious bunch. Everything is an omen or a portent. Let's make one come true. Find their shaman and ask about the Kashara prophecy.
And so we have to go to this town of Borderwatch and make this prophecy come true. Whatever it is, it's Sheogorath that wants it, so you can bet it's gonna be crazy.
Good times! Good times! I hope you had as much fun as I did. Here, take this. It's a fun little toy. Now go away before I kill you.
And for basically setting the plagues upon this town, you get the Wabbajack, which I'm sure anybody that's played any of the Elder Scrolls games knows what the Wabbajack does. But just a little demonstration, I'm sure Sheogorath won't mind. Okay, maybe it doesn't work on these guys.
Someone is being attacked!
Apparently it does not work on these guys. Well, the Wabbajack casts Wabbajack on the target, and what that does, it will turn a creature into a random other creature. You have no control over what it turns into, but it will transform. And I guess it doesn't work on humans. Next up is Vyermina. Her shrine can be found southwest of Shadowrend here. You gotta be level 5 for her quest, and she will ask you for a black soul gem. So the level requirement is pretty early on, but I doubt you're gonna have a black soul gem at that point unless you know where to find one.
We meet again, mortal, for we have met before, whether you know it or not. When you mutter in your sleep, you speak to me. When you waken wet with sweat, you've just left my house. I dwell in your dreams. I savor your nightmares. Now you will serve me. The wizard Arkfed has the orb of Vermina, snatched from the dreams of my followers and dragged into the waking world. Travel to his tower and retrieve my orb. Take care, though, mortal. In my orb, Arkfed has found more than he bargained for.
And so we have to go retrieve her orb from the wizard Arkfed.
My orb is returned, and Arkfed will live out the rest of his days in nightmare. It is fitting. You have proved yourself, mortal. It is fitting as well that you should bear my token.
And you are rewarded with the Skull of Corruption, another Daedric staff. This one corrupts for 30 seconds on the target, which is actually a pretty fun effect. What the corruption does is it creates a clone of the NPC or monster or whatever that you attack with all their same equipment, and they are immediately hostile to the original.
By the gods, there's a psychopath on the loose!
Just like that, I've cloned them, and they should be fighting. This one's focused on me. I don't know why their skin color is different. Not an exact clone. Kind of weird. But there you go. Now you may have noticed that I've been going through these Daedric princes just in alphabetical order, but I seem to have skipped one. Well, this is Hermaeus Mora. His shrine is located at the far north of the map, pretty far west of Bruma and pretty far north of Coral here. There's a big winding path going up the mountains to him. And he's out of the way, and he's really hard to get to activate his quest. He has no prerequisite offering. You just have to be level 20. And you have to have done every other Daedric quest at every other shrine. And then he will offer you his quest.
I see you have served my brethren, and now you come to serve me. I am Hermaeus Mora. Past, present, and future are as one to me. My followers seek to perform a divination. For this, they need souls. One of each of the sentient races. You provide these. I give you a spell to trap these souls. Return to me when you have finished. When you do, I will further your journey on your true path.
And his job for you is to gather 10 souls in his soul gem that he just gave you, but each soul has to be of a different playable race. It's actually quite the task. If you know what you're doing, you might be able to do it quickly. My best recommendation, it helps if you go to each of the other Daedric shrines and just trap the souls of the other Daedric prince's followers. I know that seems kind of messed up since you just helped them all, but it's better than just searching aimlessly for all 10 races, you know? And going through the towns and risking guards going after you.
You have served me well, and I am pleased. I give you this, the Ohgma Infinium. Knowledge given by me to Xerxes is recorded within. Read it and gain knowledge of yourself. Go now. Learn and remember.
And for finishing up this final Daedric quest, you will get access to the Ohgma Infinium, which is a book. And it's kind of useless to a maxed out highest level character like me. But when you read it, you will have the option to upgrade and level up some of your skills if the game doesn't crash. Let's try this again. So, whenever you activate it, you have a chance to read one of 3 paths. You cannot read all 3. Once you read one of them, the book will be used up. Now, each of these paths will level up 2 attributes and 3 skills based on those attributes. The Path of Steel will level up your speed and strength, and your blade, blunt, and heavy armor skill. The Path of Shadow will upgrade your agility and speed, and your light armor, security, and sneak skills. And the Path of Spirit will upgrade your intelligence and willpower, and your conjuration, destruction, and restoration. Now, it is actually possible using this, even though my skills are, for the most part, maxed out. They will actually go over 100 if you use this, which I think is useless in most of your skills, except for acrobatics and athletics, so you can run faster and jump higher. And I think maybe your mercantile, too. I'm not really sure. But going over 100 on most skills is useless. So if you're maxed out like I am, this is a perfect item to use for the Blood of the Daedric quest that you get in the main storyline, where you have to sacrifice any Daedric artifact. Just something to keep in mind. These are the main 15 artifacts that you will get that count towards this stat here. As you can see, I have 15. I have Umbra 2, but it does not count towards that stat. There are some minor artifacts that you can get as well throughout the quests. You can't keep them. These include the Statuette of a Dog that you get during Clavicus Vial's quest. It's what allows Barbas to speak to you wherever you are in the quest. And then, of course, the Eye of Nocturnal and the Orb of Vermina, however you pronounce it, that you have to return to their respective princes. Those are all the artifacts that you're going to encounter during the Daedric quests at the shrines. But there are still a few other items throughout the game that you don't get from Daedric princes, but are Daedric artifacts in nature. So let's go find those. The Staff of the Everscamp is a staff created by Sheogorath, and it is the subject of the quest Whom Gods Annoy that you can pick up in Leowyn from Rosentia Galenus. And this staff, whoever so wields it, cannot drop it unless they come to this shrine here in Dark Fathom Cave. Now, the issue with that is whenever you are holding the staff, there will be 4 Everscamps that follow you around everywhere. They will not attack enemies for you, and for the most part, they're just an annoyance that gets in the way. It's cool to have Everscamps with you, I guess, maybe. Some people might think that. But the other issue is while you're holding the staff, you will suffer a minus 20 to your speed. And I mean, maxed out is still pretty fast, but it's still not as fast as you could be. Now, fortunately, when you do drop this staff at the shrine, you're not supposed to be able to pick it back up. Let me, I actually probably have 2 of them now. Yeah, I do. Go ahead and drop those. You get that message normally. I don't know why it let me pick up that one. So yeah, once you drop them, you cannot pick them back up again. There's supposed to be only one. I consoled in the other one just to show this off. And generally, yeah, like, you cannot get this staff after the quest. It is entirely just for this quest. The Helm of Oreyn Bearclaw is one of your many rewards for completing the Fighters Guild quest line. Now, it doesn't look very spectacular, but this is actually a Daedric artifact. Some believe it to have belonged to a Bosmer or Wood Elf hero long ago, part of the Oreyn family line. Others believe it to belong to the Bosmer's best friend, an orc or Orsimer, who actually did the good deed that he did. There was a whole witch serpent killing thing, and it was either the Bosmer or the orc. Either way, it fell into the hands of Malakath. And there's actually a big Daedric quest in Morrowind about you obtaining it, and now it's made its way to Oblivion, owned by another Oreyn in the Fighters Guild. And for helping him take care of the Blackwood Company, he gives it to you right here. It has Fortify Agility 10 points and Endurance 10 points on self whenever you're wearing it. Has decent armor 7 to it. So it's not terrible. It looks really ugly. It's cool. It's a skull, I guess, but I just really don't like how it looks. The Grey Cowl of Nocturnal is rewarded upon completion of the Thieves Guild quest line. When you equip it, you will get your Sneak fortified by 25 points. You'll get Feather 200 points, and you can Detect Life for 120 feet. All while you have it equipped, but it has another special ability. You see, before you finish the Thieves Guild quest line, it is cursed, but afterwards you lift the curse. If you take a look, my bounty is currently 5. When I equip the Grey Cowl, that bounty suddenly jumps to 500. That is because when you wear the Grey Cowl of Nocturnal, you become the Grey Fox. You can do whatever you like as the Grey Fox, increase your bounty however you want, and as long as you take off the cowl afterwards without any guards or anyone seeing you, then your bounty will go back to what it was. For example, my bounty is already back at 5. The only issue with this, I thought I was in a much better position to show this off. That is my bad. Let me find a guard real quick. You'd think it would be a good idea to just run around as the Grey Fox, right? Well, you see...
You're the Grey Fox. You're under arrest for all kinds of stuff. You're wanted dead or alive. I'm choosing dead.
Yeah, and you don't even get an option to go to jail or pay your bounty or anything as the Grey Fox. Turns out the guards don't like you running around too much as the Grey Fox. But like I said, if you can resist arrest and get out of view of any of the guards and just take the cowl off, you're perfectly fine. Do whatever you want as the Grey Fox. Now, you may have noticed when I was going through all the Daedric quests earlier, I went over every Daedric prince except for one. And that is because he is not included in the base game with an artifact. He is the main antagonist of the game. That's Mehrune's Dagon. They added this as an official plugin that you should have when you download the game. You can do this big, long, crazy quest to unearth Mehrune's Razor, which is going to be this dagger right here. As you can tell, it does about 20 damage at max level, but it also does two very good things. First of which, it's going to disintegrate armor by 15 points for 7 seconds when you strike someone with it. So it is very good for just ripping through armor. But you might not even need it to do that, because it has Daedric Banishing on strike. And what that does is every time you hit someone with this, it has a chance to just instantly kill them. It doesn't matter what armor they're wearing or anything, how much health they have, it will have a chance to just instantly kill them. So this is a pretty insane dagger, if I do say so myself. The Fork of Horripilation is the subject of a little side quest that you can do here in Bliss, in New Sheogorath of the Shivering Isles DLC. You'll have to talk to Big Head to start it. And it's also the subject of a Daedric quest in Morrowind. It's one of Sheogorath's favorite prank items. It is here. A blade, one-handed, only does 2 damage, and once you equip it, you will get Fork's Wound, and what Fork's Wound does is it stops you from regenerating your magicka. So I can just start summoning away. Actually, that's Haskell there. He doesn't actually use magicka whenever I summon him. So bad example.
I live to serve.
But if I just start casting away here, you'll see that my magic has gone down a little bit, but it will not regenerate back up to full at all. So it's not really a great item to have, but it is a nice throwback. You're of course either going to want to keep it for a collection and not use it, or just give it back to Big Head as part of his quest. You may know the sword or axe Shadowrend. from the creation that was added to Skyrim. This sword or axe is originally available towards the end of the Shivering Isles questline when you are doing the Symbols of Office quest. You come into this grove and you'll fight a shadowy doppelganger of yourself that will use Shadowrend against you. Now, if your blade skill is higher, then Shadowrend will appear as a two-handed claymore. If your blunt skill is higher, it will appear as a two-handed battle axe. If they are equal, then I believe it becomes the claymore that I have here. Fair warning with this one, though, you have to wait for your doppelganger to equip and use it on you, otherwise he will not drop it. It is one of the most powerful weapons in the game with 30 damage at max level. It damages health for 30 points on strike and gives a weakness to magic 15% for 30 seconds as well. So if you're into two-handed weapons, this is a goal to get. Again, you just get it casually while going through the Shivering Isles questline. After you finish the Symbols of Office quest in the Shivering Isles questline and go through the Roots of Madness, you will gain access to the Staff of Sheogorath. When used, it will cast the voice of Sheogorath in 75 feet for 15 seconds. And what that does is freezes all NPCs in range, like this one, for 15
My lord, I'm glad to see you.
You're supposed to be frozen.
What?
Okay, maybe it doesn't work on them, but it freezes everyone else. You know, I read something on the wiki now that makes sense. You have to be being attacked, or somebody has to be in combat around you for it to work, and there's clearly no combat going on around here. But anyways, it can be a really overpowered item if you use it right. Freeze everyone around you. And, of course, you don't get frozen. You just stay in combat. Now, of course, lore-wise, only Sheogorath, or those who are becoming Sheogorath, are supposed to be able to have and use this staff. Which is another reason I'm not a huge fan of the Skyrim Creation Club content. But if you follow the lore, it is one of the rarest and technically most powerful Daedric artifacts that you will ever get a hold of, because it can only be used by Sheogorath. And I bet the real Sheogorath would use it correctly as well. And so with that, we're going to end off today's little guide here. Every Daedric artifact and weapon you can find and obtain in the game, even if you give it away. Remember, the definition was any item that was made by a Daedric prince or greatly affected by one. And I guess by that definition, any of the Daedric creatures or the Dark Seducers or Golden Saints, anything they drop would technically be considered a Daedric artifact. But I would just bog the video way down by going over those. We got all the important ones today, so thank you all for watching. Next week, we're going to take a break from Oblivion guides, and we're going to head back into TIE 3, and then after that, we'll come back and we'll start doing guides on everything else you can find here in the Shivering Isles. So once again, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye!